Scottie Scheffler has one of the most unique swings in the PGA Tour. His footwork is all over the place, his backswing isn't textbook, and yet he's one of the most consistent ball strikers in the game. Today we're going to break down his golf swing to help you fix 3 of the most common mistakes amateur golfers make. Most golfers try to make their swing look perfect, but Scottie proves that's not what actually makes a great swing. And real quick, don't forget Sundays we go live here 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I diagnose your golf swings for free. Send me your videos, the link is in the description again. And while you can, please hit that like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment. Let me know if these 3 things make sense to you, or if you have any other common mistakes you might think you might be doing. But other than that, let's start the free education. Mistake number 1, keeping your feet too still. One of the biggest things you'll notice about Scottie's swing is his footwork. His trail foot literally slides backwards and his lead foot pivots dynamically through the impact. If most golfers did this, they would assume that they were swinging out of control, but for Scottie, this movement is actually helping him generate power and maintain balance. So why does Scottie swing this way? Well, Scottie's footwork allows him to create massive reaction forces from the ground, which helps generate clubhead speed. This move will help maintain stability while maximizing energy transfer, leading to elite ball striking. And his dynamic footwork compensates for a swing that might otherwise be too steep, helping create optimal launch conditions. Ultimately, Scottie is ranked number 1 in strokes gained tee to green in the 2023 season, and he's consistently in the top 5 for approach play, proving his footwork aids accuracy. He's also one of the longest and most accurate drivers despite his unconventional lower body move. So what does that mean for you? So in my opinion, amateurs do the wrong thing. They try to keep their feet planted, which ultimately restricts hip rotation and power, and is limited for those who actually have very good mobility in their body, which, if you're anything like me, it ain't happening. So instead of keeping your feet planted, allow your lead foot to naturally pivot as you swing through. And one thing can help you show this is to try and hit balls barefoot. Now I know some of you in the snow might get frostbite, but that's just a price you gotta pay. So when you do hit shots barefooted, you can feel how your weight shifts, but your feet will naturally want to move. Mistake number 2 is chasing that perfect backswing. So look at Scottie's backswing. It's short, compact, and doesn't follow the textbook model you see in instruction videos all across the YouTube rabbit hole. Yet his consistency is off the charts. And why does Scottie swing this way? Well, Scottie keeps his backswing compact to maximize control and efficiency. His focus is on proper sequencing rather than the hitting positions. His short backswing allows him to keep his club on plane and ensure repeatable impact position. And yes, we're going to say short because he keeps that club out in front of his body. And one of the main reasons this helps him is his compact backswing leads to fewer timing issues when pressure applies. So if you're ever facing Mrs. Havenkamp on the mixed couples play and you got to hit one in the fair on 18, you might as well shorten up your backswing a little bit. So what do the amateurs do wrong? They over-rotate and attempt to copy long textbook backswings, and this leads to loss of control and timing issues, often resulting in mishits. So instead of obsessing over how your backswing looks, focus on getting into a solid position where you feel loaded and ready to fire. Try swinging back only to 3/4 and hitting shots. This will improve your sequency and consistency, but make sure that when you do, you still take a decent amount of body turn. I've seen people when they try this, they swing with their arms and they stop 3/4. You still want to deepen your turn as much as your body permits, but your hands need to be in a much shorter position than they probably currently are. Mistake number 3 is keeping that lower body too quiet. And here's where Scottie's magic really happens. His lower body is super active in transition, and it's what allows his hands to drop in the slots and create a powerful, repeatable impact position. So why does Scottie do this? Because that lower body movement helps create an efficient kinematic sequence leading to consistent ball striking. He generates power from the ground up, allowing his upper body to stay relaxed and release the club properly. And this motion keeps his hands from getting stuck, helping avoid a two-way miss. And as a result, Scottie has one of the lowest dispersion rates on approach shots despite this unconventional movement, and he converts a high percentage of birdie opportunities due to precision iron play. Now, what do the amateurs do wrong? They try to stay quiet in the lower body, leading to poor sequencing and typically over-the-top move. And as a result, this lack of body movement results in a weak inconsistent shot. So some feeling drill you might try to do is this step through drill. When you start with your feet together, you take a backswing and you start down, then step forward with your lead foot. And this will teach you how to properly use the ground and sequence your golf swing a little bit like Scotty does. So if you're able to survive this first part of the video, this next part is where we diagnose Scottie Scheffler's golf swing, look at those 3 areas that we talked about, but then also look at his entire cause and effect. Let's get going. Okay, we have the man of himself on screen, Scotty Too Hottie Scheffler, and let's draw our patented lines. Barney purple for the lower plane line and the upper plane line, and for the face on, we're going to do a Barney purple right through the shaft to see where this sits in relation to his tilting, and we're going to look at cause and effect from this. And mellow yellow is going to be right on that back brace line and on his right brace line as well. And we've got a new one thanks to a hot debate on what we should have called this red line yesterday. It is Ivan Red, and Ivan Red is going to be our spine angle line, and we'll introduce him to the shoulder tilt line just to see where those hands are connected. And as we see with a lot of these tour pros, those hands are truly connected to that spine angle, and we do have a slight forward press relative to the spine angle. So overall, a really good setup. Now what we'll notice is the Scotty is a pretty toe-based setup. So if we draw from the blue line on the right side of the screen, arches of the heels, we can see that a majority of the weight is sitting forward, and we do see him sort of leaning towards the golf ball, and this does play a part. So if you were watching my video about a week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about steep versus flat plane and what each swing typically wants to do, and typically those who are on the toes have a steeper plane. But this is where Scotty kind of brings both worlds together, and why he has to have such an active lower body to clear the room when he does shallow the club. I don't like that term. When he does get the club flat. So let's just take a look at that at impact. But what we're talking about is the feet movement today, the length of the backswing, and the overall lower body drive. So for the lower body drive, what we're going to do is in orange, and I promise you this is the last line, and I think we named this Trump Orange. So we've officially got a line. So we're just basing green. So if anybody wants a green line, I'm in favor of Ninja Turtle green, but I want to hear what you guys think. So let me know what you think for green, and we'll figure out what we use for green. But anyway, let's go to the start of the swing. We can see that yes, it is already slightly steeper. We see the shoulders are doing a decent job of maintaining their posture in terms of staying relative to that spine tilt. And once we get to the top of the screen, we can see that yes, toe players typically are taller, so he gets above that secondary plane line. His shoulders do a relatively good job of staying perpendicular to his spine angle, so we haven't lost any shoulder tilt there. But yes, they get when you're standing up on your toes. Now if you're on your heels, you're typically a little bit flatter. If you want to know more information about that, there's a video somewhere up here. Just type in planes and it'll pop up. But what we're talking about, staying connected with your turn, and even though you might look at this and go, Tony, that's not a short backswing, what are you talking about? But it is in relative to his turn. So if you take a look at where his turn are, we'll draw this in green on the left side of the screen. We'll see how much shoulder turn he has. Now, if you take a look where that club shaft is, it doesn't get anywhere near where the shoulder tilt is. Now, if you take a look at being truly connected to the shoulder turn, his club shaft would be perpendicular to that, forming that T. Sometimes we get ladies and gentlemen that get their arms too involved, like we saw David Duval yesterday. He gets his arms a little too involved, but here we can see that Scotty is definitely shorter of where some people can get to. So this is what we're talking about, staying connected. So we're going to go to our patented triangle on the right side of the screen and take a look at the action. So we'll look at the right side first, and ideally the hands would like to move straight down, and we can see that yes, they do move straight down throughout that whole box, and they just start creeping back to his right side this way once the turn starts to initiate. But what do we notice on the left side of the screen at this point? We also see that he's getting that drive, so that lower body is getting out the way first, so it drives and it also stays against the back brace line right here. So he's doing a really good job of effectively and efficiently pushing the weight to clear the hips this way. Now, why is this important? Because if you take a look at where the club gets on that lower plane line fairly quick. Now, if we learned anything from that plane video we talked about, typically steeper players have a big lower body drive, but we see their club more up in this area to accommodate that as they're clearing the room for their hands to drive down. Now, if you are a flatter player, you don't necessarily have much drive with the lower body. You need to stay more planted with the lower body to allow the hands to have that little room to get through, because if you have to drive with the lower body with a flat plane, you're in trouble. So what does Scotty have to do? He has to start pushing his weight even further this way. And watch what happens to the feet at impact. We see that motion. You see that there? So watch the hips. The hips, so the feet just pull out the way. He's trying to get as much breathing room as he can because he dropped that club in the slot. But the key thing is, though, even though he has a little bit of Michael Jackson feet going on there, what do you notice on this yellow line on the right side of the screen? Look at the back brace line. He's definitely losing his footing, but he's still staying against that posture, allowing the hands and arms to get that clearance room from that club head meeting that lower plane, and it stays on that lower plane right through impact. Now we take a look here. He is still in his posture. He does a fantastic job of remaining in posture. We can still see how much shoulder tilt he establishes right one frame after impact. And we see this amount of shoulder tilt, and at the top of the swing he is at 34, so he has close to 30 degrees of tilting increase, which is a lot. So we can see that it's not as much rotation as we saw David Duval yesterday. This is more of a tilting action to help his hands move a little bit out to the right while his club face drops in that slot. And the only way it drops in that slot is he needs that lower body to get the hell out the way. So we see the feet just pull back. He's cutting up a rug without even dancing, and the club does exit slightly higher than what we saw David Duval yesterday, because David Duval had more turn. Remember, the more turn you have, the lower the exit path, more tilt you have, the higher the exit path. So now if we go to the left side of the screen, what we'll notice here is, let's go straight down into impact, and we'll see the amount of tilting that is the new tilt, and we'll see where those hands are relative to the club head and the hands. So we can see they've all met up again in one line. If we go back up one frame, we can see that he does carry over some angle down into impact. Now if we back up again, we can see that he has a slower release pattern. You know, this is way too many lines. Hold on, let's just redo that. So if we go down to impact, one frame before impact, there's impact. It's still connected to his shoulder tilt. Let's back up a couple frames and we can see the club is there. So we don't see as fast of a release, and that is good because he is using that excess shoulder tilt in this position to keep his hand speed moving towards the target, which requires less hand manipulation, which is why he pounds the golf ball. And look at that spine increase at impact. It is just completely different. So if we clean these lines up and let's go here and then look at where he was when he started the swing, we'll see a big difference there. So the whole idea is the more tilt you have, the further your hands can go along with that tilt, which again increases your hand speed, so you don't have to throw at the golf ball. You can conserve angles longer. He doesn't have to create any angles. He actually doesn't have much angle to work with, but it's good because he's using his body to hit that golf ball, less so his hands and arms, where you or I, or most amateurs, we try and get this ridiculous lag going. You hear everybody talking about lag this, lag that. Hey, lag is overrated if you can strike the golf ball with your body, which is why Scottie Scheffler is one of the best to do it and why his swing is so unique, but it is probably one of the best swings on tour when it comes down to hitting your basic fundamentals. Use your body. He's using his body. That's his strength, so let's use it. Don't rely on your flippy dippy hands because they're very weak when you compare it to the amount of rotation speed you can generate with your legs, core, back, chest, everything. Hope that helps you. I will see you next time. Don't forget, hit that like, share, subscribe. Really appreciate your support. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions on that. I'll see you Sunday. Red Light Live. Submit your swings. We need swings, because if we don't get swings, unfortunately, I won't be able to do a show. And then no show, no help. So remember, this is all free. Hope that helps you. See you next time. Fairways and greens.